enough codes already. Obviously, you start wiping off the side. But also, what I should have done before was check out the knife. You see, it's a little curved in. So we need a straighter, what is this, a 12-inch?
They told us.
1 to 10.
They said they curve them so you wouldn't get the blinds.
Yeah, but the thing is that if we curve them too much, oh, that looks pretty straight. Show this like this. The main goal is to try to keep it as, you know, straight and smooth as possible. And if we curve it, let's say if we use the curved side, this is what I'm going to be left with, is lines, right?
Yeah.
So then I got to use the other side in order to get rid of these. So then, before you texture, it's just going to require a little more sanding.
So your
You see what I'm saying?
flow should be down?
I think it should just be straight.
Okay, as straight as you keep it.
Yeah, would be my suggestion.
Okay, all right.
This guy's got it for one more.
And for example, another thing, I like to use a 6-inch knife. That everyone prefers.
Yeah, I know that. Corey does not.
When should they use a 6-inch knife?
Yeah, like for example, the nails. You see 1, 2, 3. You know, there's a couple here. You just go up. A couple here more. Just like the mark out. These 3 coats on the nails. That way, when you paint, you don't see them.
Right.
Or when you prime.
So like it right here, they should get rid of all this excess.
Yes, and since it's still a little damp, we can just go over it again, right? It's just gonna create a bigger joint, but if it's bigger, then obviously we'll see it less.
Right.
You know, it also comes down to the sanding.
Right.
You know? Now, in these situations, we usually have, you know, the really big knife,
Right.
the one we use to knock down the texture,
Right.
in order to make this smoother. So when you get to sand before you texture, it's a lot easier.
Right. So you use almost the knockdown knife
For the bigger ones,
Right.
It's like
Like for
16,
example,
right?
when you have these kind of situations, I would use a bigger knife to wipe it down. So we don't have to sand so much. And also with, for example, the bed jobs. Where you have the 2 sheetrocks meet vertical. You gotta open them up, right? And you use a big knife.
Okay. How
Sometimes-
big's a big knife?
21 there.
Probably 24 around there. Yeah, you're close enough.
And that just knocks it down.
Well, then again, we're very picky.
I know.
And we like to use a straight edge. Straight edge, put it on the joint. Make sure it's nice and flat. And so once it's nice and flat, then we can hit the middle part. So we hit both sides. We coat both of the sides where the tape is. So on the first coat, the tape is really a little more exposed. You can see it. You gotta make sure the sides are nice and filled in, right? So we use a straight edge on both sides. And once we put the straight edge on there, and it's nice and flush, then we hit the middle part. And then we coat the middle part. We do 2 additional coats.
Now, track homes don't do that.
No.
Track homes, you do upper end custom homes, and it's very important that your finish is top notch.
Yeah, they want to put a corner piece or something, and the corner's not flush, and you got to float it out.
You gotta
which
float
is
it
what
out
we're
more.
used to doing in
Right.
custom homes.
Right.
So I'm just gonna try to smooth this out as best I can right now since I don't have the big knife with me.
So you actually let it set up a little bit.
Yeah. Now, since this one was open up a little big, what I would suggest is getting the big knife with 24 inch or 21 inch and just put it against the wall. Make sure it looks like that. It's nice and flat.
Right.
It might be a little bit off, but not too much. Because obviously we're adding a couple of
Layers.
layers of mud on top of it, so it's not going to be flush to the sheetrock. So,
Are you gonna hold that knife kind of the same you would any other knife? You're gonna keep it kind of smooth. You know, what's your angle on the bigger knife gonna be as you smooth that out? The exact same, or is there gonna be
the exact same. And obviously, you know, I always like to use one finger. Never use two fingers. Middle fingers unnecessary. Always. But it makes it a lot easier. You have more flexibility with your index.
If you leave a finger on the back side.
So you can play with it. And then once before, you know, since this is second coated, we also got to look at little areas like this.
Right.
Anything where we see mesh tape, obviously.
We're gonna.
Trying to make it as smooth as possible. That way for the next time you start sanding, it doesn't spend too much time sanding. So,
Right.
but other than that, man, not too bad.
how's the consistency of the mud?
Yeah, it's good. It's perfect. As a matter of fact, they put the right amount of water in it, and it's it's great for taking. Now, what type of finishes are they doing inside? Is it hot control? I mean, a little more, like 20%, a little more water
Okay.
to make it just enough so you can apply it onto the wall.
Could you turn that into what you would do? Bring a little water here so we can see that. I mean, since we got you here, let's.
So let's do it with a pen. Thank you. Gonna do it slowly because I don't want to hit the camera.
Action shot, that's what we call it.
There you go.
Making y'all messy.
And
Sorry.
to be honest, with the 6-inch knife with the curves on the side makes it a lot easier to do.
Oh, okay.
than with the square ones.
That's what Corey's been saying too. We didn't get those. It's a half circle shaped.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
For mixing them.
And for scooping also. He said for everything.
What's up?
You can always grind them off. Take your pin snips.
You can grind them off, but you gotta buff them at the end. Though. Little marks at the end. So something like this. All right. So now we need a truck. that.
Well, yeah, just tell us what you do. That's what we want to know. It's the easiest way.
Usually this is how we custom make our little scoops. We got a little bucket, right? Now we attach a wood handle to it. Screw
So,
it on
like
there.
this? Oh, okay.
I should have brought some.
Yeah.
I had some.
You can.
If I would have known.
Yeah, you can text me some pictures of them.
Okay.
When you get back.
Or I can also bring them to you. It's not a big deal. I don't live too far. And we just scoop them out. So at this place, hey, we scoop this out. Alright. So you don't want to get too much or too little bit.
Almost like a pancake
See?
batter.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little more, it's got a little more water. But it'll be so tough on your wrist when you start doing the hot stuff.
Right.
So let's start being left everything.
This one was best. I don't know. This was
Let's try this one. Real quiet. Now it also depends on what type of texture finish you want.
I think just like that. Right?
Yeah.
You know, this is just a regular hot control.
Yep.
There's other requests. People, you know, they like it perfect smooth,
Yeah.
which is more smooth, but you still have these little openings, but you see more smoothness in it. Or sometimes they go with level 5, which is completely smooth, and it's just a little more work.
Yeah, it is prettier though.
It does look prettier, yes, absolutely, it does.
So like, are you still leaving one end up? Like you're kind of angling it?
I'm angling it, yes, yeah, so obviously you can see, you pretty much isn't much. Texture on there. So once you apply it, come in here. Then you start creating your design. Start doing your design and moving your forward line up and down, then it's going up and down.
You'll be perfect at it.
No, it takes practice.
Right.
But yeah, you can master that. We'll do the curve part. So we're gonna start knocking it down. Just give it a few minutes. Let it set up a little bit, and then we'll start knocking it.
If you do it too early, what will happen?
And just leave more line.
Oh, okay.
So if you let it set for a little more, you'll leave less lines, and the drywall you'll be able to work with it a little more to leave less lines. So it's just the point is to have, because you don't have to sand so much.
Yeah. These guys know about sanding too much, huh?
So, you know, those are just, you know, little tricks to avoid sanding, but also doing it the right way as well.
Yeah.
So, and then the third day, we touch up. Whatever lines we leave, let's say if I leave a line or excessive mud here, see? You don't want to texture everywhere. You want to make sure it's nice and smooth. You don't feel anything. There's texture on there.
Yeah.
There's mud, but it's smooth.
Right.
Once we get that smooth, and then we're ready for application. I'm sorry?
3 days then from start to finish to play to get the texturing.
So yeah, hand first day, second day, first coat, after you know. First day, first coat. Second day, second coat. Third day, touch up and texture. And the fourth day we do the sanding. But I would recommend, when we sand, we use lights. Yeah, that way we get every single little imperfection, every little spot. That way we don't have, for example, sometimes mud bags come with dried up mud. It's not our fault or anybody's fault, it's just how they come from the manufacturer. But we also have this problem.
Wait, remove the light. Let me see if I can get a little brighter. Yeah, there you go. You see it a lot better.
And one good advantage about hot control is that even if you're not a pro in drywall, hot control hides a lot of imperfections. As compared to when it's smooth or imperfect smooth. You gotta leave it, very, very well. And unfortunately, if there's windows and the window hits it, the sunlight hits it, it'll bring out, it'll show everything.
Now, they're just the flat walls or the flat mudding. That's more of a East Coast thing, right? Or is it starting to be more popular over here?
Actually, no, people are starting to go back to hot control. Yeah. Because, it's level 5, smooth, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work. It's a ton of sanding, and you got to do it by hand. Now, with hot control, it is good to use the light, but 80 grit sandpaper, and you just start sand, and then towards the end, start doing the details, the borders.
You said 180?
Yeah, 180 grit sand.
180, that's what you recommend.
That's perfect for drywall because it doesn't leave any line, and you're not taking you're not sanding too much of the material off. So, see, like even right here, you can still work with it. Right. So you see, there's a line here. Now we can still kind of, if it's not too fresh, we can still work with it. Still try to make it smooth. Still try to make it for the guy who's gonna sand it a little easier.
See, it's kind of like a piece of art. Just keep going over it until you get it the way you want it. So you went over this part when you went over that. Like, is this still dry? No problem, or?
And out.
Well, yeah, 'cause it was a little bit wet when you went over it. That take, I think you just
It's
take
gotta be completely dry.
You want it completely dry.
I just did that just for demonstration. But you should be fine.
It's not going to affect you.
Yeah. And if it does, you can just texture right over. Just smooth it out and texture right over.
So what happens if you do go over? What will happen? Will it start to crack if you go over it too early, like if it's not fully dry?
It'll start to run off. Like, it'll look like this. When you start texturing, if it's really, like right here, this is good. But if it's, for example, alright, so say this is the second coat, right? That's the second coat for you. So we'll wait for a couple minutes. We'll start to pull the the design with it.
Oh yeah.
But you gotta give enough time for the second coat to dry in order to cover the piece of tape. So that's why it's not really a good idea to touch it right away. A lot of people do that in tractor. Because it's faster.
Yeah.
They get in, they get out, and they move on to the other. Hang on. Try to get okay.
Yeah, you'd say it's probably.
And it still looks a little light. You start seeing the edges are starting to dry, but you still have enough time to go back with your call or your knockdown knife to kind of to eliminate any lines or anything like that. See, like here, it's you can see it's still wet, but I still have time to kind of work with it to get rid of it. So the point is try to leave as less lines as you can and make it as smooth as possible. Sanding is not fun. It's not fun at all.
Awesome.
With your drywall, you're not always gonna hit the stud,
Yeah.
right? So to help the taper, oh shit, whoa. Anyways, to help the taper, whoever's doing the taping, we usually hit the parts where you didn't hit the stud, right? That's like this one. We just hit it with this.
The other
And-
knives have a metal tip on them, don't they?
What's up?
The other knives have a metal tip on them.
Oh,
At the end.
they do?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen those. Okay, so we got this one ready. So what I do is I'm just moving it up, applying, I don't know, 50% of pressure. I'm going all the way up. But I'm still filling it in. I didn't see this one. Because I don't know how you guys have been previously doing the nails.
That's how I was taught to do it.
A lot of people like to start by just going one to the side, one by one, and it's just gonna take forever. Sometimes people leave little excess of mud. So when you go in second coat, depending on the tools you're using, so if you're doing it by hand.
Oh, it's on the floor.
There you go. Put it back on. No, you're fine.
We'll leave excessive mud like that, and it sucks because when you're ready to second coat, this is a little excessive mud. So when you go up, you're gonna have like you're gonna hit it, and it's gonna be dry mud, and then you'll start having lines. So it's best that you make sure it's all clean. See here, this is perfect. And just get the 6-inch knife or whatever, how many inches this knife is.
See if you can get a video of exactly how much mud he's putting on it.
Yeah, let me show you. We can do it again. So this is what I like to do. I just grab the pan.
So that's
I
about an
kind of
inch.
I take off, let's say, yeah, about an inch.
And then you took off your end there.
That way. So let's start right here. So I'm applying, say, 50% of pressure, right?
Top of your knife is not on the drywall.
And
at
then
all.
there's no mud at the top. So I'm not gonna deal with having like excessive mud up there.
Okay.
Just, a little trick.
Great.
You
So what for the students that are going to try that, what usually will happen is they'll try it and then they're not as good at that new trick that they're trying, and then they tend to go back to that original way. So would you just tell them just to keep at it? And
yeah, just keep at it, because it saves you it's a lot faster and saves you more time, get things done a whole lot faster.
So we want perfect practice.
And the only way to master this is practice, pretty much.
Yeah. Practicing the right method.
Yeah.
Great.
I've been doing it since 2006, and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, things change. But, as I go, these are just little tricks I picked up from other workers, other people. Sometimes people who've never even done drywall before. And I just try to get what I can from what they know, because they'll know something I don't. Like, for example, that about grabbing just cutting this off, having that much mud on there, and then just hitting the nail again, and just wiping it all off completely.
So you took probably 20 to 25 swipes and turned it into one clean swipe.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh yeah, because say when you're starting, you're like, well, we'll do this. I mean, I'll fill in every single one. Or people tend to just do this and then just get to the nail itself. Which you could do that if you like, but it's just gonna take you longer. As to compare, it's just going up, down, up, and just wiping that off. See right here, the drywall's a little, someone hammered it in a little too much. But anyways, that's one little trick I wanted to show you guys with the miting. And as far as hanging, I kind of pointed out to Dan that it helps if you got a 4x8, say, what is this, half-inch?
Yes.
Half-inch drywall?
Yeah. Right.
It's helpful to throw are you guys using 4x8s or 4x12s?
4x8s.
4x8 sheets. To hang a 4x12 sheet all the way, let's say, to the window. That way we eliminate having a joint here. There's not one there. But by getting rid of this joint and just having a solid piece of drywall eliminates from this to crack, or when it does settle, this is the first thing that starts to crack. And opening and shutting the door creates movement. And also, the earth moves. Even in custom homes, I don't care how good of a drywall job you did, things are gonna crack. Just like foundation. So another tip, as far as hanging, is just to hang the whole sheet, eliminate the joint from places where there's going to be movement, especially in garage doors. And yeah, pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
And another tip.
Sorry, can you start over again?
Yeah.
We're rolling.
Oh, let me get off. So when we're doing these big joints, we like to use mesh tape when we're doing patches, right? Patches, you know, they have, when you do a patch, you put in wood backing and then you cut out the square, put in the sheetrock. You mash tape it. You can hot mud it, do it in 5 minutes, texture it, finish it. Now, when you're doing residential, typically it's not a good idea to use mesh tape when we're running. For example, this joint is really long. You like to use paper tape.
On
Paper
on the long joints.
on the long joints, corners.
Yeah, I know we use it on all the corners paper.
Yeah.
But on this long joint.
This long joint and this butt joint. I recommend to do it with paper.
Outside, number 8.
Reason being is because paper's harder to crack. Any little movement, the mesh is the first thing that's going to go. That's just what's going to crack first. And then you're going to have to come back and then refix it. And so the sheetrock's not hung bad. It's just, there's just a little gap here. All right. Now what we do with those little gaps, we fill them in first.
And with the bigger gaps, we do 20-minute mud. Is that still recommended before
Yeah.
we come in?
Yeah. Do 20-minute mud. See, this one's what? Quarter? 3/8?
Yeah, a little under,
So it's not too bad.
You kind of just globbed up there.
Yeah, and it's not, and the mud is not wet. You know, it's not too. It's not. How do they say it? It's not too. It's not too thin where it's gonna fall down.
Yeah. Okay.
See? Now, what you want to do is always start. I always start from the middle, and if what I like to use is my pen. I hold this side, swipe this side down, right? Now this side is already on there, so now I don't need to use the pen for this side. And that's it. Well, I don't have the bigger knife, but 60%, I don't know, just a wild guess. 60% we might get a bubble here because there was a 3/8 of gap. What you do is just sand it down. You sand it down. Just get a sanding pole, sand it down. Make sure it's nice and flat again. And then you get your 12-inch knife. You start hitting the sides. With both these sides on the first coat. And then we get the bigger knife. And we make sure that it's nice and flush. And then on the third coat, I'm going to start filling this in.
So you're saying sand the bubble completely off and out?
Yeah, just sand it off. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. See here, coming out a little bit. So just get your sanding pole, or you can do it by hand. Just sand it down a little bit, right?
So that would be the second day or later in the day after it had dried.
Yeah, this dries pretty quick. But in the summer, sometimes we would texture a house, and by when we were finished, say we started in the garage, then we finished in the master bedroom. By the end of the day, the other side was already dry. So we can go ahead and start sanding that same day. So, you take advantage.
So now, on these longer seam like this one, would you don't want to do one long tape seam? Do you want to cut it down? And how would you take this long seam? Would you say?
Do it all at once.
All one
Yeah,
tape.
you don't want to. do multiple pieces because every little, say I cut the tape right here. Now this is a little, it's going to be exposed for it to crack. We have other tools. There's the bazooka. There's the, you know, the nail spotter. There's other types of tools that we use.
I've seen that bazooka. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That bazooka, you just put on the tape and it already comes with the mud. You just run it down and you have another guy behind you just wiping it down. And then that's how you keep moving forward. But if you're doing it by hand, it'll take you a little longer, but it's worth it to use paper tape over.
So on
So
this,
do all the small seams first, and then the long.
And then the
seams
long one.
last.
You do the butt joints first, and then at the end we do the long
Well,
seam.
if you do it that way, won't it put
Overlap, you
paper
mean?
over that? And
Yeah,
that's okay.
that's fine. That's okay. Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, that's what he wants because he says then it will be.
The more it's sealed, the better. And if it overlaps, it's fine. You'll be okay. As long as it doesn't reach this nail or something, because then we would have to cover it up.
so yeah, so you on these buttons, you want to try to get it so it overlaps a little bit, but still underneath that tape that's around the other direction.
Yeah. So you have a little extra, I don't know, half an inch,
Yeah.
3/8, and then we're gonna have this piece of tape. Then you got this guy overlapping. So you can't get any more seal for it to be more sealant than that. So
That's a great idea. I like that.
once you fill that in, and then you start cutting up, then you get your roll of mesh. And you put the mesh over it, right? So then you wipe it down. Would you guys like me to do that?
Yeah.
Right now, I would love that on video.
I would love to get that on video.
Okay.
So you want some hot mud?
Yeah, you got hot mud?
You're just taking out the regular joint.
Yeah, taking off the regular drywall compound. That way, all right, cool.
What's going on here?
So right now, I'm cleaning off this knife. Make sure it has no drywall compound. So I'm gonna get the pen and make sure it's clean before we apply the 20-minute smooth set. I mean, the outside matters that it's clean.
Do we have one?
That way,
wall where
no
he could show
old
us
drywall gets into the
that?
20-minute mud because it creates, it could be dry,
that would
have
be
little rocks
awesome,
in
right?
it, and then it'll make it not look like a well-done patch.
Okay, well, he gets that ready. I'll be right back. Because if we can get him to do that, that would be huge. Okay, I need one wall where I can have him show us on video how to cut. Right?
So now we're gonna
So I got him here.
open up the
I need
20-minute
one
smooth
that's ready,
set, right?
so he can show us how to measure, how he would measure it, cut it. You see what I'm
We
getting
don't
at?
need much for that.
Because that right there
Let's say a couple.
Hey, where you at? Right here, this house.
Say a
is.
couple
Is everything done?
should work
Everything's
fine.
done and right.
Now, the amount of water to put in
Get
the smooth set,
so let's get this run then.
Okay.
I guess
We
it
want-
just
right?
comes with
Don't we
practice
want,
and
or are we
experience.
hanging that wall
Doesn't
first?
matter, 'cause
But
either way,
let's start off with a little bit.
Well, will it matter?
So we'll get a feel for it.
Well,
See
how
how
do we teach in the original video?
how thick it is, or if we need more water in it. See, right now
That corner there.
it needs more water
Okay,
because it looks like a bunch
Okay.
of rocks and
hang this.
pebbles.
Oh,
So
you guys put that piece on
you're
already.
gonna get the sponge.
Open your mouth.
Yeah, and then you start adding more as you need it. So we added a little more.
Start here.
I need to know. So we want you to start right here. You need to get this piece on, and then we're going to have you come down. And just, we don't want you to screw off the pieces all the way yet. Just get them in place so that when we get down here, we can have a gentleman come in and show us how to do that wall.
And get this all clean out of the way.
You wouldn't happen to have another.
And you'll
knife
verify
on you,
that
would you?
I got about 5 minutes, 6 minutes till.
Oh, perfect.
That's all?
You know what? Can I use this one? Okay, perfect. See, here, I think I put a little too much water.
Is plumbing inspected?
So we'll leave this one here since it's clean.
Oh, yeah. Why are you guys doing that? Boom. Okay. Here's what I need for you to stop that. You guys are supposed to start in that corner over there and come all the way along this wall to here.
Sprinkle a little bit.
Because you can't put this in because it's not going to match up with the corner like this. Right? See how this corner's going in now? But you want the same overlap.
Did you guys watch the video? Because I know it was in the video.
Yes. Yep. So
Right.
you should have started right there, which you did.
But then you got
Then
to.
you've got to keep coming down here. So,
We're getting close.
cool.
So
what I
the
need you
idea
do
is to try to make it as smooth as possible
get this one
and get rid of all the
cut out the window, just put it straight across all the way.
smooth set that hasn't
We can have our
hasn't
pro come in and
come
show us how to do this.
hasn't touched the water.
Yep.
Okay?
You can
And then
still
move
see
all
the
of this
little,
out of the. Get all of this out of the way.
little rocks on there,
Awesome job, guys.
the little clumps.
He's still here. He's showing me how to do that. But if I can get him to come in and show them how to cut that. Okay. Oscar, you're the man, by the way. We'll get that on camera for
Oh,
you.
thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And all you can say is that I try.
Yeah, yep. That's what we tell him.
I try and I'm still learning.
Yep.
Hopefully, we're all always learning. Right?
We're going to have show us how to cut a piece of drywall for that wall. And number 15, outlines house. So we're getting things that they can do with falls with up and drywall.
Now, when you're mixing these the hot mud, I like using that knife.
Yes. Because it's easier to get in the corners.
Yeah.
Oh,
We need to add that to the next tool list.
That was the one tool that I had on me. You turn and ask me if I had another one. Crazy.
Now we'll clean this knife off. That way it doesn't dry up. So put this here just in case. All right. Let's see if I can find the oh, there it is. Perfect. Yeah. I think it's a little too thin still. Hold on. 20 minute.
What one of the things that you're helping out with, you're changing students' lives right now.
I hope so.
This is the one
Well,
part that makes them want to kill themselves.
Well, hopefully this, again, it's practice. Anything I can do to help. Okay. So now it's a little thick. Electricians get a little upset when we don't put tape, but they'll be fine.
That's why you were saying you really want it thick in there because it's.
That way we can scoop it in there so when we put the mesh over it, it holds on. It fills in it. See?
Yeah.
All right.
Happy to come in and see that.
Like it never happened.
Yep. Yep.
And right here, just enough so you can, the electrician can still screw whatever he's got to screw in there. And the cool thing is we got 20 minutes, so
Right.
you can take your time, or if you need if you're really in a hurry, you can use 5-minute smooth set. All right.
We'll be able to get enough compound in there behind it.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
important that we do it in
Uh-huh.
this order.
I would fill these in first, absolutely, before we start taping. That way, if they will need it's like a patch. You will have little things like this happening. The ends of the mesh tape tend to break. Ooh. Oh.
So let's say if they added too much water to their compound and they did that and now it starts to sag. What do we do?
So if they added too much water to this compound, to this 20 minute, what you do is just stay here and
Look
wait.
at that. Can't even see
You
that.
stay here and you wait, like I'm gonna try to do, is I'm gonna stay here and wait. Now, this will sag a little bit, even though I applied quite a bit of compound inside. It will still sag a little bit, but once this is completely dry, you're gonna go back with your 6-inch knife and you're gonna shave it off.
Oh.
You're gonna start shaving it off and making it smooth.
Oh, because it's still a little bit wet. See?
Yes.
Oh.
It's like the Parmesan cheese. You have like just shaving off
Yeah.
the cheese.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Hey, I have to relate it to something. Right
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Association, yeah.
My lunchtime.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love to see this. This is fun.
Yeah.
The cool thing about smooth set, it's like silly putty. It's like putty. You can just play around with it.
Yeah.
Not quite as sensitive.
No. But you absolutely have to coat this with regular mud. Because regular mud has a very, it's very sticky. And this stuff's not so much. That's why it's good to coat it with regular mud on top.
Now, do you see people tape with 20-minute mud? Like the whole like first and second day?
No.
Not even the crazy ones, huh?
People who try to cut corners, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. People who try to cut corners, they'll because like I said, they say you're in a custom home and you got to do, I don't know, you got to do a pony wall, and they'll start doing it with 20-minute mud. They'll even texture it with 20-minute mud, and yeah,
You can tell.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't look the same. It'll look terrible. So it's always good to use regular mud. So pretty much.
So definitely not 5-minute mud then. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Are you sure?
even with 5 minute, man, it's still, you know, it still dries on us,
yeah.
you know. But it depends on the weather too. If it's cold, you got an extra couple minutes,
Yeah.
you know. But when, you know, and it's hot, you better haul
Yeah.
butt and get it done. It's still a little tender. We'll wait for it.
Now, like this, where it's kind of coming off, you just take care of that when you sand it, right?
You mean like this excessive
No,
right here?
yeah.
The
No.
fibers.
Yeah, the fibers. You just kind of leave it. It'll get covered up with the next one.
Oh
or
yeah, no,
on
it
the
covers.
sanding,
Yeah, it gets
so
covered up with. Yeah, so like I said,
We just have some people who
you
are
treat
like,
this like as a patch.
yeah, people who have OCD where they're spending so much time on the little meshes when it's like just save that for later.
Yeah, you know, you get your regular mud. You know, say their first coating, right? And then you know they throw the tape, and then they do the first coat. And while they're right here, they can first coat this, and then they're second coating this joint, and then throw another coat on this. And then they're doing the touch up. You do a little, you skim this out, you put on the mud, skim it out. And then once that's done, then the next day you texture. Now you throw your texture. Sometimes light boxes might look like this. I'm going to make it as square as I can and clean as I can. But sometimes you don't have time for that. That's where sanding comes in. You sand, and then at the end, you start cleaning out the light boxes. So you use this knife, you start cutting into the drywall till you reach the box, sand around it with your hand. Now you have a nice clean light box.
How many times do you go over your tape? How many muddings are you gonna do before you start texturing?
Before I start texturing, I do 2 good coats and then
Touch up,
touch up.
So, because we're doing 3 right now, but that's because
Well, you know, it's not a bad idea that you're doing 3.
right.
You don't
We're trying to cut it.
Yeah,
we're trying to cut that time down.
You don't have to do 3.
Right.
For example, like in the first unit we were in, I think they were on their third coat. They were on their third coat.
Yep.
So they're ready to texture.
Yeah.
They just gotta, you know, they gotta start just touching up any imperfection, any lines or any.
So the other thing he was saying that we need to do is that he has a longer knife that he uses, like a 24 or 21 inch.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
And
so then on the second day, he comes in and he kind of fills up more of the edges rather than the middle, because we get this
like the butt joints. The
right.
butt joints are the.
And so he kind of create more.
I
like
kind of try to keep it even.
Yeah.
And then once I coat the inside of the tape, then it's nice and even.
Takes that big knife.
Here's my question for you though. Like if this is level from here and here, and then we have our taper that's from like here to here naturally, right? For your factory edge. If we fill in from here to here and make this straight across, do our seams need to be this far out, or do you always make your seams, you know, that big?
No, usually they're 12 inches.
Okay, so we are looking for a 12-inch.
12 inch. You don't have to go that big. The only ones you would go big would be the butt joints, which is what Claire is right beneath.
Right.
Which is this one right here. You want to make sure you're 12 inches here, 12 inches over here. That's where the big knife comes in.
Because the ultimate goal here is to make it look like it's one piece of drywall, right?
Right.
To make it completely smooth.
Yes.
So the only time that we would really have to feather out like 2 feet is if we do a bad job here, right? And we're trying to make it not noticeable.
Well, here, whoever hung this did a good job. So you're fine here.
Make sure you let them know that. Whoever hung this, they'll love that.
No, their measurements, you know, they're and you know, like this. even guys with experience have trouble with the boxes.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I clean up lots of drywall messes, you know, depending on who it is. And, the electricians love drywallers too.
Ooh, they
you
love
know.
drywall.
So cutting out these boxes, or do you use that tape that they have? Because there's different ways to mark your boxes on your drywall to speed it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you measure and cut?
No, I just measure and cut. Or you can get a Makita. Makita. It's got like a little. They look like little screws on top.
Yeah,
So
you put it on the
kinda,
box.
Yeah, so.
And it's got spikes.
Yeah, so
You push it
guys, what guys, when I have my guys hang sheetrocks at, say, we did one 2 weeks ago. They'll kind of measure out where the hole is. They'll mark it with a piece of pencil. And then they'll hang the sheetrock. And then they'll just get the Makita and just stick it in there. And then they just go and they just go around it. And then they just go around the box. Instead of measuring, and it just takes a little more time.
Yeah.
But they're...
you gotta make sure your wires are up in there far enough so nothing gets...
Yeah, I mean 2 or 3 times you will get electrocuted, maybe because of the ground. I don't know.
Right.
But usually the guys just stay on the box, and they get it nice and square instead of putting the sheet and then measuring it out, cutting it out.
Yeah.
And sometimes the result is maybe you cut a little too further.
Yeah.
Or maybe you didn't cut enough. Then you gotta bring it back down and recut it again, or fill it in like so, like we're doing here.
Okay.
Like that. This thing is long. Nope, it's still wet.
This is our main time constraint in these with the students. Is
The
the hardest.
drywall.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the
hard. And it was the same in our class.
yeah.
So right here, I'm cleaning it up for the electricians and the tapers. So and also shaving it down. I don't know if you noticed, but get this off here. That way they can still screw on there. Now, you can see it doesn't really, now it doesn't sag.
Yeah, it's flush.
Now, do we have regular mud?
Only that.
Shit. Let me see if I can, just in case. All right, so now we got the hot mud on there. Now let's first coat it.
Yeah, you can definitely tell a difference.
Obviously, with the first coat, you will have lines.
Right.
That's just,
And that's something that the
you
students
can't.
have to get used to.
You got to get used to. But that's where the second coat comes in and the sanding.
Right.
So what I'm doing is taking off the edge.
They make it look easy.
And then we try to take this off.
So it's absolutely an art. How long how long was it before you felt like you were good at this?
Well, I'd say it took me about a year.
Very good.
Yeah, about a year. But It might have taken me a little, you know, I might have been able to learn it a little faster, but since we're also painting, we were doing
Yeah.
other projects
Your
as
dad,
well.
your dad started painting on one of my places. That was one of the first times. Like, I think I'm gonna start painting.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm able to learn a little faster. But I also got to go with these guys and learn from them and watch them. Just watch it how they did it, and I would go home and practice myself. I would take a piece of sheetrock and I just start practicing, man. Right now, when we're finished, I'll show you some pictures of other stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
That I also had practice at home. So right now, so that's first coated. I mean, it don't look too bad.
No. Yeah. Wouldn't know you put that much mud on there.
Right.
So now when they throw the the tape, then they can second coat this.
Yep.
And maybe do a
You
little.
want to do the sheet?
Right now, I'm gonna ask him if he's got a few more minutes to do one more thing for me.
A little less than 9 foot.
So, anyways, we could, because we don't want to, we could go from this side over, but still, there's just a lot of cuts in this one spot. Little tricks like that, but or do you just measure all of this?
There's many ways you can go about it. Now, obviously, it's more modern.
Mm-hmm.
You just take a router. What we do now. Before we used to measure, right? That was a pain, and it took up a lot of your time. So what we do is we get caulking, painter's caulking, right? We put them in each corner. In each corner here. Same thing here. Put some here and then here. And then you put a little bit here. Then where does the sheet stop?
It'll stop there, yeah.
Right? So what we just put the sheet against it. So you kind of have an idea, if you put enough caulking, kind of have an idea where to start with the router. So then you start cutting in. You start cutting this,
You
that.
pull the sheet back and then cut from the back side with the router.
You can cut from the back side or the front side.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So as long as you get some of that caulking onto the back of the sheet, then you get the router, and then we just start cutting in the boxes. Because if we start measuring like how they used to do back then, yeah, man, it'll take you forever.
So it's how we're doing it.
So I would highly suggest that try getting a router.
Buy a
Router
couple
would-
roto-zips.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That'll save you a whole lot of time, especially with these. There's so many boxes, so many switches. I mean, I know that's for the washer and dryer, right?
Refrigerator.
Oh, refrigerator.
Yeah.
The drain.
It's just high.
So that would be my best suggestion.
Okay.
That'd be a lot faster. That's what they're doing right now.
So that's what the pros are doing right now. is
Yeah,
using
that's
that
what we're
router.
doing. Because before, even with the lights back in when I first started, we didn't use routers. We used these little. There's like they look like they're what do they look like?
Little hand
Look at
saws,
Boy Scout
drywall
one.
saws. About
Yeah,
that
they
big.
look like hand saws, but you adjust them, kind of like those instruments you used to use. They used to use for geography. So you put it right in the middle. You would measure it, and then you would spin it around, and then it'll cut you the hole.
Oh yeah, depending
So-
on what size your box
yeah.
was. Right.
But that's where a lot of hangers, man, they hated the more boxes they saw. They're just like,
Yeah,
this
this
is
nightmare
a
wall.
nightmare. Usually, even when you go to the new homes or the custom homes, these are the walls you're gonna see at the end. Everything else, because it's you got 3 or 4.
Zip through everything, but
You
this
got-
they
yeah.
wait till the
You got 3 or 4 guys, man, that they're just throwing sheets and the other one's right behind them, you know, screwing it on. The other guy's at the bottom cutting it. But usually these walls are left towards the end.
Nobody wants to.
Yeah, they call them misery. Usually, yeah, they call them misery walls. But
That's exactly what that is.
How come this wall's not done yet?
Because we got it ready for him to show us.
So now, so with a sheet like this, so you've got, let's say this, but now, how are you going to do that when you're measuring up against this, right?
mm-hmm.
But that's going to be off if I'm measuring there. So do I
Well,
line
you
it up
first
this way,
well,
cut these?
you go from obviously you're gonna start here, right? It's gonna go all the way to here. So you know this sticks out more than the boxes, right?
Yep.
The sheet's all the way over there, and it's all over here. So you just mark them right there.
A little grease
So you
trick.
do
You
that.
guys
Just
are
push it
doing, that's a
against
good
it.
idea.
As long as you have that little mark, just pull it back, and then you just start cutting it.
Cut that out.
Then you cut that out, and then it starts making the boxes more easier to cut out.
Just start from the furthest thing out and go inside.
There you go.
Okay, very good.
I mean, that's
Try it on this one with these and see how they do.
We'll get a router.
Well, yeah, it looks like once you're up there, I mean, you can just cut it on the other side with your.
or you can use a drywall saw.
Mm-hmm.
So just do what he just did to mark it without measuring it. Try that with. I'll donate enough sheets that if you screw up, it's no big deal. Right. So do that, and then let's see how you two do on it. You guys will be the guinea pigs on that.
How you like that?
One of the things they've already been doing is they've been putting flux on the edge of these boxes and putting it up, and so the flux makes a print on the drywall too for them, and that's why their top boxes look so good.
You know, Clay, and also because I have a crew of their hangers.
Yeah.
That's all they do. They just hang sheetrock, and they got a whole lot more tricks than I do.
Oh.
Bring them.
And I'd be more than happy to bring them over here so they can, teach you guys a little more of how they do it a little faster.
Yeah, we'd love that.
I mean, this is, what I see and how I do it. But since they do it every single day, they're masters at that, at hanging the sheetrock, of getting around these, how to do it a little faster. So
Perfect. Yeah, we would definitely appreciate that. What do we do on this one?
what kind of corner bead are you putting? Square?
Square, yeah. Deal with it then.
Yeah. And then just
20-minute mud it and
no, just mash tape it. Yeah. Yeah, just mud this. Wait for it to dry and then just cut the edge. Make sure it's nice and square. And then just put on what I would do, since this is kind of a little messed up, I use they call them a tape-on corner bead. So those are easier than, because if you start, say you use a metal corner bead, when you screw it on there, it's just gonna break it off. So when you use a tape-on corner bead, you're just using mud. So you put mud here, mud in here, cut it to fit, you just put it on, and just wipe it off. Wipe it down, and you're good to go. Then you mesh tape this. Even though you're gonna have the corner bead on top, I would still mesh it just in case. Throw a piece of paper up there, and then just start coating it.
perfect.
So tape on corner bead.
Tape on corner bead.
And that stays on as good as.
Oh yeah, that thing. I think I have a picture. Yeah, that will not fall off. Again,
Oh,
drywall
that would be
mod's got a lot
great.
of a lot of adhesive. See, here's one. Right there we still haven't had put the corner bead on there, but on this one, on this kitchen, I used tape on corner bead.
Is this it?